Hello, and welcome back to our series having a look behind the scenes at new and exciting releases. Today, we'll be taking a look at Nomadland. This film is the story of Fern, a widow and a former substitute teacher. Following the economic downturn of 2008, and then the closing of the gypsum plant in her hometown of Empire, Nevada, the local economy was left decimated. After losing her job, the grieving Fern has little to no choice in standing up and moving on, taking with her only those sentimental items that meant the most to her. She sells the remaining of her belongings to purchase a beat-up second-hand van. The film follows Fern as she makes her way across the country, state to state, in search of new temporary work opportunities. As she adopts her new nomadic lifestyle and shuns chances to tie herself down, she makes new friends in the fellow nomads that she seems to be bumping into in her way across the country. This film explores the true-to-life stories of those in society hit hard by the economic environment in the last 2 decades, and shows as they form a new lifestyle for themselves together. Here are a few things you might not have known about Nomadland. I spoke in my last video about Sound of Metal on the effect of staying true as possible to your story and the characters included in it. It is clear from the outset of Nomadland that everyone involved, from director Chloe Zhao to our leading lady Frances McDormand, that this value of staying true was core to the production of the film. McDormand in particular, portraying our protagonist Fern, makes a show of the genuine nature of this production. McDormand made every effort to blend into the nomad community and made every effort to understand the struggles of the people around her. She accomplished this so thoroughly that a local supermarket at one of the locations even offered her a job application. Some of the people appearing alongside her didn't even realise that she was an actress, believing her to be genuine and even going as far to be in disbelief that the whole experience and story wasn't true. To accomplish this, McDormand had fully immersed herself in the world of the modern day nomads, functionally becoming the character we see on screen. She did everything from live in the van, travel in her van, and even use the facilities her van provides for real, as we see her do in the film. McDormand spent nearly 5 months living out of the van, which she herself nicknamed Vanguard. She even filled her van with some of her personal items, and did that so she could make herself feel at home there. She did initially sleep in the van during shooting, but had to stop, explaining, "It's much better for me to pretend to be exhausted than to actually be exhausted." She also took the step of actually doing some of the jobs that we see her have in the film. She worked a shift at Wall Drug, took part in beet harvesting, and also genuinely became a part of Amazon's workforce. This means if you live around where they shot the film, you could have possibly received a package sealed by an actual Oscar winner. Originally, Linda May, who we saw in the end product playing one of Fern's good friends, was cast to play the protagonist. McDormand already had the film rights for the book and approached Zhao after seeing her previous film, The Rider. Initially acting purely as just a producer on the project, together with Zhao, they had chosen to pick a genuine modern-day nomad to play the leading role, but eventually Zhao convinced McDormand to take the role herself. Initially, they planned for McDormand to portray the role as Linda originally had, based on the main character in the book. However, over time, the decision was made to introduce more of McDormand's own personality. Beyond Linda May, a majority of the cast are real nomads. Very few are professional actors. Besides McDormand and David Strathairn, who played Fern's love interest Dave, and a few other select cast members, the main ensemble is actually made up from genuine people, either locals to the locations or real-life nomads themselves. This fact is really hammered home as you watch the credits roll and notice that a large majority of the cast share their genuine names with those of their characters. One of those that stand out amongst the crowd of nomads is a man by the name of Bob Wells. In the film, he appears as a kind of mentor, someone who the nomads look up to, someone who has a lot of knowledge about the nomad lifestyle to share, and that's exactly who the real-life Bob Wells is. Bob runs a YouTube channel, Cheap RV Living, where he documents his life as a nomad, as well as giving advice and guidance to those who are nomads or those who wish to become nomads. He also has some really fascinating videos of other nomads giving you a tour of their living situations. If you have some time, I'd suggest you check him out. As we see in the film, Bob also runs a yearly seminar on a gathering of nomads where people come from all over the country to share advice and meet others that are in similar situations. This inclusion of real people playing their real selves really brought the film to life for me. Beyond the non-actors in the film, there are actually some very interesting connections between some of the actors that we see on screen. As an example, at one point in the film, Fern goes to join Dave as he goes back to live with his son James. James in this case is portrayed in the film by David Strathairn's real-life son Tay. This is another reflection of real life in the film. It may seem on the outside that this choice might have been just for convenience's sake, but personally I believe this choice was made to help better reflect their on-screen relationship. Another example of this is the woman that we see play Dolly, Fern's sister, played in the film by Melissa Smith. In real life, McDormand and Smith may not quite be sisters, but they are very good friends and have been friends for a very long time. The crew was very small, kept as minimal as possible, around 25 people, which for a feature of this size is tiny. Even us here at Smash UK have had sets with more people on, and that's just for smaller scale short films. The crew was kept to a minimum to help facilitate the travelling around the country whilst making the film. After all, the film was shot in a total of 7 states over a period of 4 months. Carting a massive crew around would not only have been massively more expensive, but also would have been a logistical nightmare. To help with matters, the crew also took to living the nomad lifestyle for themselves, living out of vans and travelling in a convoy between the separate filming locations, even using the starring van Vanguard as part of their sleeping and living arrangements. Beyond the on-set crew, it seems that Chloe Zhao made the choice to do a lot of the work herself, not only being director, writer and producer, but also choosing to edit the film herself. All of these jobs she's pulled off excellently, which the Academy have recognised by giving her 4 nominations, those for Best Picture, Achievement in Directing, for her screenplay, and also for her achievement in editing. She is only the 3rd person to have ever received the same set of nominations, with the previous 2 being Frances McDormand's husband, Joel Cohen, and his brother Ethan. Speaking of Joel Cohen, he decided to visit his wife on set one day, to much of the cast's surprise. Cinematographer Joshua James Richards said of the event, "I look up and there's Joel Cohen watching me film Fran with a little LED on a C-stand, and I was like, we're really pulling out all the stops here, Joel. I hope you appreciate this. It's my biggest setup." Something else that McDormand brought to set with her from her personal life were the autumn leaves plates that held sentimental value to Fern. These plates actually held a similar value to McDormand in that her father had gifted them to her as a graduation gift. The book the film is based on is called Nomadland, Surviving America in the 21st Century. The film hasn't stayed very strict to the book, and the filmmakers have even said that they think of the book more as a companion piece. That being said, the true life events of the 2011 closing of the US gypsum mining empire, and a lot of the real people we see in the film, including Bob Wells, are mentioned in the book. The scene we see inside the Amazon warehouse was shot for real, inside an Amazon distribution centre. In order to get access that they needed, they simply just asked. Joshua James Richards said, "Fran wrote a nice letter to Amazon to ask if we could do it, and they said yes." I think this came as a surprise to most people, but I suppose Amazon didn't have anything to lose and really didn't mind helping out. The next film that Chloe Zhao is attached to direct is Marvel's The Eternals. In fact, Nomadland was shot and almost edited in its entirety in a break between the pre-production and production of The Eternals. Possibly as a nod to this fact, at one point in Nomadland, Fern passes a theatre showing The Avengers, but this may just be part of the setting of the film, placing us in the middle of 2012. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and perhaps you've learnt some things you didn't know about Nomadland. If you have enjoyed this video, please comment below to tell us what new releases you'd like us to cover, or like the video to let us know you'd like more of this style of content. Also, please don't forget to subscribe to keep up to date with not only this series, but our top 10 videos, as well as our brand new monthly series exploring world cinema. Thank you for watching, have a great day.